Stéphane Pedrazzi has been talking to the CEO. Stéphane.
And the numbers, Anna, they are much stronger than expected for the second quarter. Net profit is up 31%. The retail banking activity was the main driver in the second quarter. It actually offsets the decline of the investment banking activity. Revenue is up almost 12%, which is a good surprise. We were expecting a flat number compared to the second quarter of last year. And the cost of risk is down 54%, which is actually much better than expected. The CEO of BNP Paribas, Baudoin Prot, is rather confident about the market conditions in the third quarter.
I think that the worries of investors regarding the Eurozone were an important factor in the very high volatility and difficult markets, equity markets, but also bond markets in the second quarter. I hope that we've seen some easing of that in the next few weeks, and especially in the last few days after the stress test, European stress test results came out. We've seen, for example, the BNP Paribas CDS go down from 115 basis points to 85 basis points in a matter of days. So I think things have been improving, and I would hope that this would help us in having a third quarter overall better in terms of market environment than the second quarter.
What do you think about the results of the stress test for BNP Paribas, but also at the European level?
I think I can make three comments on the stress test. First of all, I do believe that overall the scenario regarding both the economic situation and the market conditions in the most severe scenario were quite conservative. If anything, they were more conservative than the scenario of the US stress tests of last spring. So I think they were very, very valid. Certainly they somehow confirmed that overall most of European banks were strong and solid, and certainly there appears to be a limited number of European banks who are very strong and who have come out with very strong buffers above the required minimum level of capital. Certainly BNP Paribas is one of them, with close to 25 billion euros of capital buffers above the minimum, the fourth largest in Europe. I think there's no surprise for anybody, and certainly not for me, but I think it's good that BNP Paribas came out as I would have expected.
What do you think can explain the strong performance of the French banks, talking about the stress test?
I think it's really due to our business model. Most of the French banks have significant retail operations, and let's put it that way, the French retail market has been the most resilient market maybe in the world, with Canada and Australia. So there are not many markets in the world that have been as resilient as the French market. We haven't seen the cost of risk. We haven't seen any of the big problems over the markets actually occurring in France.
Now, do you think that the worst case scenario was tough enough? There was not, for instance, any possibility of default of any country in Europe? You know,
last year when the US had their stress test, there was one very important hypothesis in the scenario, was that no US state, no US local. So they exactly had the same scenario, that you wouldn't see the US government or any US agency or any US state go down. I think it is so. I think it's exactly the same scenario. On top of that, we have provided, and the 91 banks have provided all of their detailed exposures, both by the trading book and banking book. So I think the transparency that came out with the stress test was very significant. And now any analyst or investor can make up his own mind with the numbers. So I think the scenario was strong, and the transparency, the disclosure was very strong. So I think it was quite a step forward for the European regulators.
Baudoin Prot, the CEO of BNP Paribas, talking to Stéphane Pedrazzi earlier on, saying that Q3 is going to be better than Q2. So here's a man who's upbeat.